The year was 2149. Humanity had stretched beyond Earth, building cities on Mars, mining stations in the belt, and research outposts on the icy moons of Jupiter. For the first time, humans felt like more than one planet's people. They felt like a growing civilization among the stars. But on a cold night at the Deep Space Listening Array in Patagonia, everything changed. Dr. Amelia Torres was finishing her shift when she noticed a sharp spike on her monitor. At first, she thought it was noise, random interference from a passing comet or a burst of cosmic radiation. But then the pattern repeated. A rhythm. Not natural. Not random. Her hands trembled as she recorded the data. It wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a call for peace. It was something else. The following day, scientists from across Earth and Mars crowded around the feed. Lines of strained pulses filled the screens. The team worked for weeks to decode them. Slowly, the message took shape. It was a map. Stars were marked in neat lines, hundreds of systems across the galaxy. Most were blank, but a few, dozens, were marked in red. Red like danger, red like warning. An older astronomer, Professor Malik, noticed something chilling. The red marks weren't random. They matched regions where stars once known to host advanced civilizations had gone silent. For decades, telescopes had recorded mysterious disappearances. Planets once glowing with industry now empty, their signals gone. Nobody knew why. Until now, the message pulsed again, over and over, like a drumbeat, like a countdown. Earth's leaders gathered in a secret session of the United Nations. Military officers, scientists, and politicians argued late into the night. Maybe it's a friendly warning, one said. Or a trap, another countered. They know we're here, whispered a general. This isn't random. Someone sent this to us. The debate grew heated. Should humanity respond? Should they remain silent? Or should they prepare for war? Dr. Torres stood at the edge of the chamber, clutching her notes. Her voice cracked as she finally spoke. This isn't just a warning. It's a record. Someone, something, is showing us what happens when civilizations reach a certain point. And now, it's our turn. The room went silent. For weeks, humanity argued. On Mars, people demanded new defenses. On Earth, crowds filled the streets, carrying banners, some calling for peace, others calling for weapons. On the moons of Jupiter, miners swore they would never bow to anyone, human or alien. Yet no answer came. No further signals. Only the constant pulsing of that map, like a clock ticking down. Months later, deep in the Antarctic research base, Professor Malik discovered a hidden detail. The pulses were not only a map. They carried numbers, sequences. When compared to Earth's rotation and orbit, he realized something terrifying. It was time. A countdown to arrival. Every scientist who saw the data fell silent. The message was clear. They are coming. But who were they? And why did entire civilizations fall silent wherever those red marks appeared? Earth's governments tried to hide the discovery, but rumors spread. Pirate broadcasts on the belt whispered about the hunters. Martian children drew stars on their walls with circles of red. Across the colonies, fear began to grow. The military rushed to prepare. Fleets of crude warships were built in orbit. Laser cannons were mounted on the Martian surface. On Earth, for the first time in centuries, nations united to form a single defense command. Yet deep down, everyone knew. Humanity's technology was young, fragile. They had only begun to crawl into space. Whoever sent that signal, they were old, ancient, patient, and they were watching. One night, Amelia Torres sat alone at the listening array, staring at the endless black sky. The pulses continued, steady and unbroken, as if mocking her. She pressed record and whispered to the microphone. If you're out there, if you can hear me, know this. We are not afraid to fight. We are not afraid to survive. The universe gave no answer, only silence. But somewhere far away, on a world humans had never seen, the signal was received, not by machines, but by beings who had waited a long time. They watched the humans prepare, clumsy and defiant, and they remembered the last time another predator species had reached for the stars. That time, the galaxy had burned. The council would gather soon, and humanity's name would be spoken in their chambers for the first time. The red stars on the map glowed brighter in Amelia's dreams. She knew the truth, even if no one dared say it aloud. The galaxy already knew about them, and the countdown had just begun. Far from Earth, beyond the stars mapped in the human signal, a vast chamber floated above a dying sun. It was older than most civilizations in the galaxy, its walls carved with symbols of thousands of extinct races. Here, the Galactic Council gathered. The chamber was not beautiful. It was designed for survival. Air thick with strange gases swirled around layered balconies, each filled with delegates of different species. Insectoids clicked their mandibles. Reptilian warlords flicked their tongues. Machines hummed in the shadows, their cold lights never blinking. Each race carried its own memory of conquest and loss. Now, for the first time in centuries, they spoke of a new species, humans. A giant insectoid, with armored plates gleaming like obsidian, slammed its claw against the floor. Its translator hissed, "Death Worlders." We all know the signs. High aggression, extreme adaptability, a planet that kills a week before they even reach maturity. Such species cannot be allowed to rise. If they spread, the galaxy bleeds. A chorus of clicks and growls answered in agreement. A serpent-like delegate uncoiled, its body stretching along the railing. Its tongue flickered as it spoke. "Do you remember the Kravok?" The galaxy fed them mercy. They were given space, trade, trust. And what did they do? They consumed 3 sectors before we burned their empire to ash. The humans will be no different. The machines spoke next. Their voices were flat, layered with static. Analysis. Humans are worse. They build rapidly. They innovate unpredictably. They fight even when logic says they should fall. Allowing them to expand increases probability of galactic instability by 7 to 4%. The chamber roared with voices, echoing off the ancient stone. For most, the answer was clear: destroy humanity before it grew beyond control. But not all agreed. At the far end of the chamber, a smaller figure rose. It was not armored, not built for war. Its kind had been archivist for millennia, a historian. Its thin limbs trembled, but its voice carried across the hall. You speak only of their violence. You forget what makes them dangerous. They do not conquer only with weapons. They conquer with ideas, with culture, with stories. Have you not studied their archives? They celebrate struggle. They treasure sacrifice. Even in peace, they imagine war. The chamber grew restless. Some delegates laughed. Others hissed in discomfort. The historian pressed on. When humans face despair, they do not stop. They create hope. Hope is more dangerous than weapons. Hope spreads. Silence followed. Many species remembered how hope had once overthrown empires. How whispers of freedom could topple fleets more effectively than any missile. The insectoid slammed its claw again. Then we destroy their hope before it grows. A swift strike, a clean extermination, and the galaxy remained safe. Murmurs of agreement rippled across the chamber. Yet a few voices hesitated. Some species had fought wars for thousands of years. They had seen extermination fail before. Kill one, and 1,000 rise in vengeance. Finally, the council speaker, a vast creature older than most stars, its body like a moving forest of tendrils, rose to pass judgment. Its deep voice shook the chamber. We cannot ignore the signal. Humanity has been found. The question is not whether they are dangerous. The question is when. The speaker paused, each word heavy as stone. Extermination fleets will not be launched yet. Instead, we test them. A strike force will go, limited, controlled. If humans fall quickly, they are weak, and the matter ends. If they resist. The chamber waited, frozen. Then we will know the truth. The insectoid hissed in satisfaction. The serpent curled tighter, dreaming of war. The machines calculated probabilities of victory. And the historian lowered its head, knowing what the council had chosen. Not peace, not mercy, but a trial by blood. Far from Earth, fleets began to move. Silent warships stirred from hidden docks. Engines ignited like dark stars. The strike force was assembled, a test of humanity's worth, or its doom. In the shadows of the chamber, the historian whispered to itself, "You fools, you will not test them. You will awaken them." The council adjourned, the fate of humanity sealed. Meanwhile, Back in human space, no one yet knew what decision had been made. They watched the countdown tick lower and lower, unaware that across the stars, ships were already on their way. The galaxy had passed its judgment, and soon the skies above Earth and Mars would burn. The countdown reached 0. On Mars, the sky cracked with fire. Colonists working the mines of Valles Marineris looked up to see streaks of light burning across the thin red atmosphere. At first, some thought they were meteors, but then the explosions followed. Massive blasts tore through the thin domes that covered the settlements. Alarms screamed across the colonies as oxygen hissed into the void. Humanity's first meeting with aliens was not a handshake. It was an attack. The alien fleet arrived without warning, sleek ships of black alloy, bristling with weapons. Their design was like nothing human eyes had ever seen. No windows, no markings, only silent predators gliding through the void. The Martian Defense Corps scrambled what they had. A dozen crude gunships, some refitted freighters armed with missile racks, and a handful of prototype fighters. They were fragile machines compared to the intruders. The first battle lasted minutes. Human fighters surged upward, firing missiles and railgun rounds. The aliens responded with beams of white energy that sliced through metal like paper. Ships erupted in flames, their wreckage raining down on the Martian surface. The aliens moved with cold precision, targeting comm relays, power stations, and shipyards. Their goal was not only destruction, it was silence. But humans did not go silent. From the Martian Capitol dome, a desperate transmission was broadcast across the system. This is Mars. We are under attack. Unknown forces. Repeat, unknown alien forces. We need immediate support. On oath, the message triggered panic. Politicians froze, generals barked orders, and fleets were rushed to readiness. Yet they were weeks away from Mars. The colonists would have to survive alone. And against all odds, they fought back. One human gunship, the Artemis, was struck by enemy fire, its engines failing. Its captain, Commander Hayes, knew they could not escape. His crew begged for orders. Hayes made his choice. Ram them. The dying ship turned, engines burning red, and accelerated straight toward an alien cruiser. The aliens fired again and again, tearing holes through its hull. Still the Artemis kept coming. At the last moment, the ship smashed into the cruiser's flank. Both vessels exploded in a fireball that lit the Martian sky. The colonists cheered, even as tears ran down their faces. One ship had fallen, but it had taken an enemy with it. The aliens paused. For the first time, they hesitated. Their commanders had expected submission, surrender, fear. Instead, the humans had rammed a warship with a freighter wrapped in duct tape and desperation. On the Council's distant screens, the observers recorded everything. One cold machine voice whispered in the chamber. Probability shift detected. Resistance higher than projected. Back on Mars, the survivors regrouped. Small pockets of fighters struck from the shadows, launching ambushes from underground bunkers and hidden canyons. Engineers stripped wreckage from fallen alien craft, building crude hybrids, human steel welded to alien alloy, missiles strapped to broken wings. Losses were staggering. Thousands died in the first week. But the humans refused to surrender. Families carried rifles to defend oxygen farms. Children helped patch leaks in life support domes. Every colony became a fortress. The aliens escalated. More ships descended. Plasma fire scorched the surface. Domes cracked and burned. Yet each victory for the invaders cost them more time, more ships, more blood. On Earth, broadcasts spread across every screen. Shaky footage of Martian skies burning, voices of children crying, soldiers screaming defiance into cameras before static cut them off. The world wept, but also hardened. Recruitment surged. Factories shifted to wartime production. Scientists tore into alien wreckage, desperate to learn. For the first time in centuries, all of Earth spoke with one voice, survival. In the council chambers, reports came in daily. Losses among the strike force mounted. What should have been a swift extermination dragged into a grinding resistance. The insectoid general hissed with frustration. They are only primitives. Why do they bleed us so? The historian gave no answer. It only stared at the glowing holomap where a new mark had appeared, humanity. On Mars, battered and bleeding, the survivors of the Artemis sacrifice sent one last message into the stars. We are still here. We are not finished. The word spread across human space, becoming a rallying cry. For the first time, the galaxy had struck at humanity. And for the first time, humanity had struck back. The first contact war had begun. Mars was still burning when the first pieces of alien wreckage reached Earth. The shipyards in orbit cracked open the debris, pulling apart shattered plating, melted weapons, and the remains of propulsion cores. What they found terrified and inspired them. Alien technology was not magic, it was engineering. Different, more advanced, but still bound by the same laws of physics humans knew. Within days, scientists and engineers tore into the fragments. Field coils, like magnetic confinement, but stronger. These energy weapons, they vent heat here. They overheat if fired too long. And this is faster than light drive. It's not impossible. It's just different. The realization spread like fire. Humanity was centuries behind, but they could learn. On the Martian surface, guerrilla fighters scavenged alien wreckage from battlefields. Mechanics welded human weapons onto half-melted alien armor, creating machines that looked like monsters from a scrapyard. Yet they worked. Soldiers laughed bitterly, calling them Frankenships. A single modified gunship, armed with a salvaged alien beam cannon, ambushed a patrol. It cut through an enemy fighter in one shot. The video spread across the colonies in hours, replayed again and again, proof that humans could turn alien weapons against their makers. The aliens were unsettled. In their long history, no young species had ever adapted so quickly. Normally, a strike force crushed resistance before it could even begin. But humans were different. They studied, they experimented, they failed, and then they tried again. In the council chamber, the reports grew darker. The machine voices droned. Analysis: human adaptation speed exceed projections by 300%. The insectoid general clicked angrily. They steal our weapons like scavengers. Burn their nest before they multiply. The historian spoke softly, but every delegate listened. This is what I warned you of. They do not merely fight. They learn. Every battle you give them is a lesson. Every death teaches them how to kill more efficiently. You think you test them. In truth, they test themselves and grow stronger. Back in the belt, miners turned their colonies into fortresses. Massive asteroids were hollowed out, filled with missiles and railguns. Every tunnel became a bunker. Alien raiders soon discovered the danger. A fleet that entered one asteroid field never returned. Wreckage floated silently, drifting between the rocks. On Mars, guerrillas struck supply lines. Small teams of humans, armed with crude explosives and scavenge rifles, disabled enemy ships on the ground. Sometimes they died by the dozens, but sometimes they succeeded, and each success echoed louder than failure. Even on Earth, children played games of war, pretending to fight aliens with sticks, chanting the Martian message, "We are still here. We are not finished." Then came the breakthrough. At a secret lab on the moon, scientists managed to power up a salvaged alien drive core. It sputtered, groaned, then roared to life. For the first time in history, a human-built ship jumped faster than light. The test lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. With FTL, humanity was no longer trapped defending Earth and Mars. They could move, strike, surprise. The first human raid came weeks later. A small fleet of converted freighters, armed with hybrid weapons, jumped into an alien supply convoy near Saturn. The aliens expected another easy massacre. Instead, the humans swarmed them, missiles and beam cannons ripping into their hulls. 3 alien ships burned before the rest fled. The galaxy trembled. In the council chamber, panic spread. What was meant to be a swift extermination had become a costly war. The serpent delegate hissed, "They are spreading. They should not spread." The insectoid slammed its claw. "Then we send the grand fleets. Burn Earth itself. Leave nothing alive." The historian lowered its head. Its voice was heavy with dread. "If you do this, you will not destroy them. You will forge them. And when they rise from the ashes, they will not forgive." But the council did not listen. Fear was stronger than wisdom. The order was given. Larger fleets were mobilized. Humanity would face not a strike force, but the full weight of the galaxy. And still, Back on Mars, scarred survivors looked to the stars and whispered the same words. We are still here. We are not finished. The turning point had come. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was becoming a predator. The galaxy had always known fear. But now, that fear had a new name. Humanity. At first, whispers spread only among soldiers. Alien troops returned from Mars and the Belt with hollow eyes, speaking of enemies who refused to die. They told stories of humans fighting even when their ships burned, of soldiers charging with nothing but knives against plasma rifles, of captains ramming alien cruisers rather than surrendering. Some soldiers laughed, calling the stories exaggeration. Others refused to fight again. In barracks across alien worlds, troops muttered the same phrase, Death Worlders. For millennia, that word had meant danger, species born on planets so harsh they should never have reached the stars. Most were wiped out before they could grow. But somehow, humans had survived their death world, and now they carried its brutality into space. Rumors spread faster than truth. A human ship destroyed 3 cruisers by itself. They breathe poison and drink acid. They fight even after you shoot them through the heart. Of course, most of it was lies. But fear doesn't need truth. It only needs belief. In the great markets of the Orion Spur, traders whispered that fighting humans was suicide. Some merchants secretly began sending supplies to human colonies, not out of kindness, but in hopes that humanity might weaken the Council. In mining camps on distant moons, workers painted human faces on their walls, not as friends, not as allies, but as symbols of rebellion. The Council had ruled the galaxy for too long. Now there was someone who defied them. Meanwhile, on Earth and Mars, the war burned brighter. Human fleets, still crewed and patched together, launched raids deep into enemy territory. They struck convoys, ambushed patrols, and vanished before reinforcements arrived. One battle became legend. A squadron of human ships lured an alien fleet into Saturn's rings. The aliens fired wildly, their beams shattering the ice. Debris clouded their sensors, while hidden railguns tore through their hulls. When the dust cleared, half the alien fleet was gone. The humans escaped with barely a scratch. The story spread like wildfire. To some aliens, it was proof that humans were clever monsters. To others, it was hope, proof that the Council was not invincible. In the Council chamber, fear turned to rage. The insectoid general slammed its claw. Every day they grow bolder. Every day our soldiers whisper their name. This cannot continue. The serpent delegate hissed, scales rippling with unease. I hear things on my own world. My people question if the Council still holds power. If the humans can fight us, why should they bow to us? The machine voices hummed with warning. Analysis, psychological collapse spreading among Council forces. Probability of mass desertion increasing. The historian finally rose, its voice calm but heavy. You see, they are not winning with weapons. They are winning with fear. Every soldier who believes they cannot be beaten is already lost. Every species who whispers their name in secret dreams of freedom. If you continue this war, you may not only lose to the humans, you may lose a galaxy. But the Council was blind with pride. They had ruled unchallenged for too long. They could not imagine falling to a species so young, so new. The speaker thundered, shaking the chamber. Then we shall end this now. No more skirmishes. No more tests. Humanity will be erased completely. Prepare the grand fleets. Across the stars, war engines stirred. Thousands of ships gathered, a storm unlike anything humanity had ever faced. Yet even as doom approached, the fear did not fade. In fact, it grew worse. Alien soldiers, preparing for battle, told one another horror stories. They said humans smiled when they fought. They said humans sang songs while dying. They said humans were not afraid of extinction, that death itself was their ally. None of it was true. But again, truth didn't matter. Belief mattered. And now, even the galaxy's greatest armies began to believe that fighting humans was like fighting death itself. On Mars, Commander Hayes' last transmission was replayed endlessly. Ram them. On Earth, children painted stars red on their walls, just like the warning map. In the Belt, miners carved a new motto into the stone of their tunnels. We are still here. We are not finished. Fear had become humanity's first weapon, and the galaxy trembled.